Should be live. Come up. Yeah. So, right, Shalom, give no praise on Shalom, give no praise unto Yahweh Shema Shabbat Shem Kodash. Ownership obviously, ownership of double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and ownership obviously be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And above Ibadia, Mr. Brother, and we're here to give you the truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shema Shabbat Shem Kodash, giving all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shabbat Shem Kodash. And in this particular lesson, I wanted to go through a handful of precepts concerning the so-called good times, because you had it to where Jake and out here, and all of you heathen, you was out here basically chilling, and it was a situation of easy lifestyle, so to speak, right? It was a lifestyle where it was very comfortable for you to be able to access goods, services, all right, and resources. And now you've got a situation where the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shema Shai, is about to make things very difficult for the entirety of the planet. Could you read Hebrew, Edomite, Esau, in the book of Revelations, 12 chapter on the 12th verse, please? And as a result of using Esau and Esau trying to continue the so-called empire out here, you was going to have a situation of the MOTB being enforced upon the people. So if you can read that for me, Al-Babakashar, when we start going into some of these precepts that I have prepared a little bit early on.
This is Revelation 12:12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time."
Now, if you get the book in Job, the scripture within the book of Job, where it speaks about how the Most High set up his bounds that cannot pass, and how pretty much the Most High set it up to where Esau cannot extend his rulership. So when we go into the scriptures, namely the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, in fact, I can get that right now. You got it to where the Most High gave the blessing unto Jacob, all right? The Most High had it to where Jacob, the man Jacob, was going to inherit the control over the earth, where you got set up his bounds, right? Now check this out. This is the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, Genesis 27, and it says here within the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, namely the 37th verse on down that we're interested in. And this is and Esau calls it, if you go on Blue Letter right now, Esau calls this the stolen blessing. But we know from the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, that the Most High set it up to where Jacob was going to be the one that gets the blessing, right? So check this out. This is the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter, and this is the 34th verse, right? And when Esau heard the words of his father, and cried exceedingly bitter a cry, and said unto his father, "Bless me, even me also." What is the volume all right?
Yeah, I was just checking.
Yeah. So Esau cried exceedingly and said, 35th chapter. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with exceeding great big cry and said unto his father, "Bless me, even also," right? Even me also, O my father. Now, what was the blessing? Right, going back on to who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Then you go Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. So when you go into where these red Edomite right now are either control the earth, the book of Job 9:24, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, when who is he? You got Esau in control of the earth right now, right? They're trying to prolong their rulership. Now you can get that precept for me, Baba Kashas.
Job 9:24 says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?"
Right, so Esau was put into the position of power. The Most High set it up to where he was in rulership. Now you've got a situation where in his rulership, he's trying to prolong his rulership via his blessing, which is what? We go back to the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter. We find out that Esau and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, "Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given him to him for his service, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. What shall I do unto thee now, my son?" And Esau said unto his father, "Hast thou but one blessing for me?" And he said, "Oh, my father," right? And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered him and said, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth." So he was going to have control over the earth for a certain dispensation of time. This is the time that we're living in through right now. Okay, we're living through the time where Esau is in the control over the earth right now. You see that?
Yeah.
But they're trying to use what? Their blessing, which is the sword, their technology, the ICBM resource, and ultimately the MOTD RFID tag that they're gonna implant upon everybody, right? Or they're gonna try and implant upon everybody. But we know that the remedy, the elect of the Heavenly Father, is gonna refuse that. So, right? That was the blessing of Esau, which was the sword. That dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above, and by the sword shall thou live. So everything that Esau does is via a narrative of death and destruction. You're going to get a precept within the book of Malachi, the second chapter, and he is as death and cannot be satisfied. Right? Wherever Esau goes, he brings forth death, destruction, right? And he's an anti-life individual. You got that?
Says Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth an home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Right, so this wherever this man goes, he increases death. So you better believe when they're trying to consolidate their power and trying to have it to where everything is underneath their rulership, that was going to be via what? It's going to be via the sword. That's why you read these NW war agendas. What do they speak about? We're going to go into a handful of these articles when we go, when we get to a decent place within these scriptures. But what you're going to see is every instrument that Esau pushes out there, whether it be the financial situation, the food situation, you got into where death increases within the earth, man. But when you got into where your house shall range, you're going to see life increase within the earth. Yeah. When we're underneath Yahushua and King David and the man of the Lord, which we hope we're some of those rulers, right? Go on, come.
So John 14:6, Yahushua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto me, but cometh unto the Father but by me.
Right. Yahushua is that life. Underneath Yahushua's rule, you're gonna experience that life, man. We're going to get back into the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter, and then we can go into the book of Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, around about the 19th verse of the book of Shah. You want to throw some precepts out there, book of Shah.
Yeah, this is Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath.
Right, because the precepts we just read, why was the devil Esau going to come down? And why is he known as the devil? Because this man is a deceitful individual, right? Look at the news. All you gotta do is go on a comment post. Let's see if we can entertain ourselves a little bit, right? Let's see this C-19 situation. I was looking at some of these news articles just a second ago, right? And what you see from and this is deception, right? So what you see from now, this is out here within the UK. Now you're not gonna be able to see this from home. But what I could do is I could tell you the title of it. It's from the Guardian News, right? And the title of the video is called "Compulsory Stabbing Jabs for the National Health Service Staff Could Ramp Up, vaccination intake." Right? Now this is what you know as deception. When we scroll down and we go into the comment section, right, or what more, when we look at the like to dislike ratio, it tells a story. You got 202 likes, 3,600 dislikes. That's deception. When you go to where the vast majority of the people can see through all of this nonsense, that's how we know this man to be the devil, right? Dictionary, what does the word politician mean? Answer, white collar criminal. Deception, right? When you go to where you got a liar that's standing in front of the people, there's going to be what? There's going to be some people that are going to say particular things about that. And you can see it on here. So go back to that precept from Baba Kasha. Yes. The devil's come down having great wrath, great deceiver.
Yeah. So therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. The devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
Now, how does Esau know he's got a short time? Esau knows he's got a short time because we're in a situation right now where what? The prophets of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem outside, are on the streets teaching the word of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Hashem outside.
Go on. So Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesy both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil. And
so when you go to where a kingdom set up, You know what I mean? You might have the prophets there, but when the kingdom's set up, let's say, Alexander the so-called Great just, conquered Darius the Mede or something like that. It comes a point after a few generations, maybe even sometimes a few kings, where the prophets are going to be seen. They pop up on the scene, right? Nineveh, right? Babylon, right? The modern day Babylon. Okay, now what you see within the scriptures, I believe Babylon before he even became like a top dog within the earth, Isaiah 200 years already prophesied about it. So there are instances like when that happens, but you better believe when Babylon was at its height, I mean, I don't know what the situation was, but you could have had the prophets out there teaching, burning up Babylon, just like how we're doing right now. So Esau knows he has a short time because what? Because the prophets are out there, cursing out Babylon.
Going on. This is Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world.
And that's what's got these red Hebrew Edomites scared, man. That's why they want to do what's known as switch off the internet. They're trying to have a situation out here where the internet is cut off, right? Because this gospel has reached onto the four corners of the earth. Now, why is it gone onto the four corners of the earth? Give me the book of Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, on the 64th verse, which I'm going to go into this maybe in the camp on Friday. But the Gentiles that the Bible speaks about is the Israelites that have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And also, too, you can get the one where it says, gather the outcasts or the children of Israel. I believe that's within the book of Isaiah, right? But we can start within the book of Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, because that's the prerequisite in order for that next precept to be fulfilled, Isaiah the 11th chapter. So if we get the book of Deuteronomy, the 24th to 28th chapter, the 64th verse, yeah.
To Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people.
Break it down.
Yeah, and that's it. Because the children of Israel, we got scattered, right? The Lord basically, as a curse unto us, basically made us go into certain captivities, and as such, in those captivities, you had, people stay, where people stay and then have children whilst they're there. And the perfect example is this current society that we're living in now, where Jake just be breeding up all the heathen that are around about them, right? So and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, right? So you've got Israelites all over the world, right? And there thou shalt serve other gods, which is why you see, like, you'll see Jake, they'll be all up into that Islam, into that Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, what have you. No matter what type of religion Jake be worshiping, okay, regardless of how it is they look. Says, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Right. So one of the curses was that we'll be cast out among these heathens, that we'd look like these heathens, right? And and as such, we know that in the because these curses aren't going to be on us, right, in the kingdom. So in the kingdom, we're gonna all be what do you call you're gonna be able to identify an Israelite, man. There isn't gonna be any of this, oh, he might be, he might not be, whatever have you. Everyone gonna know.
That's right. So if you go to the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter now,
so Isaiah 11:11 says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people which shall be left. Right, from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Paphos, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. Basically showing, from this place, that place, everywhere. Right, the Lord is basically going to be collecting, his elect, his remnant, right, from all over the world. Right, it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, right? And once again, that's why this truth had to be, as we will read in Matthew 24:14, had to basically be preached into all the world. Okay, why? Because you've got Israelites scattered all over the world, right? A person, straight up Jake that looks like a Hamite living out there in the land of Ammon, right? Why? Because that's just the things that Jake do. Like Jake just go from here, there, and everywhere.
And what they're gonna be doing when they get there? They're gonna be popping them women, right? They're gonna be popping them Moabite women. They'll be popping all them women, man. spreading the seed, spreading their seed amongst all of them people there.
That's it. I know also you think about when men used to go to war, it ain't like now when men go to war with women. Not when men used to go to war, they go to war, on their, as just, a contingent of men, a group of men, right? And then they get to the place where they want to pillage. And then guess what? They may have been at sea or traveling for a period of time, they're roasting, man. So what they do, they pop the women and then they're dead.
You seen Game of Thrones, they showed it to you, right? They do a fight, the dude was like, all right, there's nothing more I want now with blood hot my face than the warm, soft bosom of a woman. You get into that state, you're in peak testosterone, right? You got that rage built up, now you want to Irish. That's the ancient men dealt with situations, man. You want a situation where dudes are out there, shoot bullets out there. And they show you that. They show you that American soldiers they be kind of doing that. They be ravishing them women where they go, man. Vietnam. Right. So you got a lot of Jakes out there. Now, if you go back to the scriptures that we had a second ago in the book of Revelation, why is the devil come down having great wrath? Because this word now is being pushed out. Sorry, Matthew. This word now has been gone out throughout the four corners of the earth for those scattered to be sifted back out. You see that? You got any more precepts?
I'm just going to finish this in Matthew 24:14. And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
That's right. So when in fact, one more precept you can get the book of Amos, the 9th chapter. So we see within the book of Amos, the 9th chapter, and more specifically, get the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. In fact, what we see is that there's a narrative of balance that the Heavenly Father, Dutch deals with, right? If a person, if a group of individuals was going to receive mercy, it was going to be a group of individuals that was going to receive what? That was going to receive destruction. So we see when Esau's empire is destroyed, we also see that the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans are set up to be a kingdom and a province within the earth. Get that from me within the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, starting from the top reading.
To Joel 3:1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity.
And that's what's happening right now. That's why this word has to go out for the corners of the earth, because the Most High Yahweh shall bring in again the captivity of the children of who?
Of Judah and Jerusalem.
Of Judah and Jerusalem. Right? Not the Hamitic, not the Christian. He's bringing again, and this is a future prophecy, man. All right, the scripture talks about how the word of the Heavenly Father shall not go out there void. Scripture says that the Most High changes not. That means to say, when we read these scriptures, right, when we read this prophecy, there has to be a point where this gets fulfilled. Now check out what these Christians say, right? The Christians say that I'm not going to say that word. The JOOs, right? The JOOs, they're the chosen of the Heavenly Father. When they had 1949, that was the declaration of 1949. That was the point where they was coming back. That was a fulfillment of that. Okay, but hold on a minute. You're saying when the Lord came on the scene, He did away with the JOOs. So what's the truth?
Yeah.
Confused. The scripture talks about how the Most High is not going through confusion, man. So if you go into where the real chosen of the Heavenly Father, Judah and Jerusalem, right, are going to receive first, or then the next part of the scripture is going to come to pass. And one's going to be both. You're going to have a situation where you got Christianity and then the JOOs, and they're going to have their own life. No. That's confusion. That's madness. It's either the Most High is going to fulfill the prophecy, what it says within the scriptures, because there's no scripture that says, okay, the Jews also, those people, Judah was going to receive mercy, and then you got a situation where also these Christians, they're going to be ruling at the same time as well. That don't make no sense, man. Which one is it? See that within the scriptures, Baba Kasha.
Yep, it says of Judah and Jerusalem, it says, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
So the Most High is gathering who? He's gathering one nation of people. Right? The Israelites, and he's gathering the other nations to fight up against each other. Go on.
Yep. It says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. And that word there, plead in the Hebrew, is a judge. It says, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
That's right. So we're at that time right now when the Most High pleading with all these nations for what? For the children of Israel, that the children of Israel may be sifted out, and this kingdom be destroyed. Now, if we go to the book and we start to go specific to the point now, let's go to the book of Mark 13 chapter, and we start from the third verse, Mark 13, and right about the third verse, right?
Says Mark 13 and 3.
No, Mark 13 and 8.
Mark 13 and 8.
8, yeah. Mark 13 and 7.
Mark 13 and 7. It says, and when you shall hear reports and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things and must needs be.
Right, so you had all kind of rumors about the Syrian thing, right? Iran and the Amalekites. You got a situation where they, wars popping up all over the place. What's the main war that we're waiting for? The World War III, right? So when we hear the rumors of the World War III, like the situation out there between America and China, right? The tensions, the escalating tensions between America and China, etc., all the leaders to the World War III, right? The scripture says like what? Be ye not troubled, yes, for such things must needs be. Continue.
Yeah, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse.
Right, so kingdom's got to come up against kingdom in order for the Israelite kingdom to be set up. That's what we just read within the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Go on.
Yep. And earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles.
Now we can take a pause there. Now we can go and you're going to pull up precepts that we pull up articles. We can do that, but we can take a pause there. We're going to read the rest of these precepts in a second, right? What does the scripture read just there? There shall be what?
There shall be famines.
They shall be what?
Famines.
They shall be what?
Famines.
Famines and troubles. That's what's coming to this earth, right? That's what's coming to this earth. Now, what I did in preparation for this lesson is I took a look at a handful of articles, and this is the economy, the food situation, energy inflation. So what I did is I punched in inflation within these particular articles. Now we know what the
So I was going to say the title, I'm sure, was inspired by the article from the Food Box, who actually even used that phrase.
Yeah. It was actually I got the title after I put the pieces of the article together. But that's a good article, right? The dude said there was like this, the title of this video, it's gimmicky, and Jake might find that amusing. But the reality of the situation is that what? That there is actually a UK food production boss that said, look, the time of cheap chicken is finished, man. If you could pull out the article, that would be brilliant.
Yeah.
You can even put it in the in the description of the video.
Yeah.
So it says here, Wall Street firms warn of lingering inflation, oil hitting 100 barrels. Now, we know what the agenda is, right? What's the agenda? The agenda of all of this is to bring, the scripture says in the book of Revelation 12 chapter, to come down having great wrath, because he has a short time. This is the whole agenda in order for the MOT to be set up. You got to hold that and click that Revelation 3rd chapter. We got Ecclesiastes the 12th chapter. Yep, I already got that. That's on the list. It's already in the clip, bro. Relax. Right? Wall Street firms are warned of lingering inflation, oil hitting $100 a barrel. And what happened as a result of this C-19 situation? The same thing, and you got nothing but confusion. I sent you that article. I sent an article in the group chat this morning, right? Saying what? All cases are going down. Oh, yeah. 2 days ago, they were saying cases have hit record numbers. Yeah. How is this possible, man?
You need to go into lockdown. Well, just the other day, they were saying you might need to lock down from basically November through March.
But bro, just 2 days ago, just today they say no, actually cases are going down. Exactly. So what the hell is going on? But that's all part of the narrative of the confusion and the red. You might push them out there to the end that what? To the end that the people that gotta get stabbed and jabbed and ultimately get killed, you're gonna get killed. To the end that what? These market scratches. Because what you need within business in terms of euphoria, which euphoria drives the markets, right? The belief that the assets are gonna go up. What you gotta have is what? You gotta have a stable market in order to perpetuate that euphoria. That's why you're getting these statements like this. Wall Street firms warn of lingering inflation, right? Oil hitting $100 a barrel. Now, remember what they were saying? Remember they was painting this whole, which is reasonable and purposes, right? This furlough, these government checks that you're getting out there in Australia, the US, for staying at home, right? That's inflation. That was the biggest form of quantitative easing that you could ever have, man. That's not the economy. You can get the book of James, the 5th chapter. That's on the clip, but you can get that now. They don't mess the whole economy up to the end of the world, to the end of these people, and also too, you can hold some articles on the universal basic income, right? They set this whole thing up to the end of these people are gonna be willingly ready to accept this MOTB. This is gonna be the solution that Esau's gonna present for you people out there, man.
It says James 5:1, that's it. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you.
Right, because even if you might be a business owner, and I've personally seen this over the last handful of years, right? Because I've seen the business that one of the businesses, well, both businesses I ain't trying to put my business out there, but I've seen a situation where from personal experience, young man, whether it be you're rich, we're gonna get that in the book of forget what precept is, but we'll get it later on. Whether it be the head or whether it be the tail, dudes out here struggling, man. Business owners, they're struggling, man. Right? It don't matter whether you're gonna be rich or poor within that day, they're gonna let them play it. What's the precept behind the second? Go to now, you rich man. So these businesses are getting gutted, man. They're getting gutted. Especially these lower tier business. To hear these, you was a coffee owner or you was a restaurant owner, you was a dad's business. Forget about it. It's done. From 10 years ago, it's done. Unless you had a really strong following and some good savings. But when you go into, especially out here within the UK, where these independent and small businesses, they consider them a good business if you're breaking even or you're a little bit in debt. I've seen this person, my Uncle George. He used to run a shop, and he said, "Look, I ain't got no money. I'm zero, but the accountant's telling me I'm doing well." That means to say what? Like most people are just clearing debt or just refinancing and clearing debt. So what do you think happened when they had the first lockdown? Small businesses were gone. But you can go into any city right now. You go through the non-chain small businesses. They're gone. Unless you have good business rates, or I don't know, maybe you own a few businesses. Sometimes, like out here, like some of the bars you go out here, it's like one dude that owns it.
You might own the whole strip, but apparently Shoreditch is owned basically a load of those bars and clubs are basically owned by one guy.
Right. Now, what that allows you to do is that allows you to have obviously you can own a whole street in Soho. I don't think a lockdown is really going to affect you. I mean, you're going to be affected, but I don't think you're renting those businesses. I think you don't own that land, right? So them guys are all right. But guess what? As more and more of these the draconian rules come into play, you're gonna have a situation where it's gonna be an escalated situation for these rich men, and they're gonna get their wallets gutted, man. To the end of the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter is gonna be fulfilled, where it says he calls it rich and poor.
Yeah.
Why do you think you watch? Come on, man. They're letting you know that this whole thing is a sham. Here they say you gotta wear a mask, but they're standing in Parliament next to each other, rubbing each other's shoulders, mask free.
Yeah.
Here they're saying, look, you gotta go out there carbon free, and you're gonna driving around in a stupid electric car. They ain't gonna get you no more than 400 miles. Which 400 miles, especially if you live out there in the United States, that's nothing.
Well, you can do the. I remember there was a reason that my brother was like, "Yeah, man, I did 800 miles." I was like, "Bro, you can't have done 800 miles." Then he explained to me, I was like, "Bro, you did 800 miles in 1 week."
yeah.
Drive. You know, but then you think about how long it takes to, and that's just in the city.
Yeah.
Not even like going far and wide and this, that, and the other. You know, with 400 miles, that's good rent for these electric.
Yeah, but that's nothing. You really think about how gasoline engine. When we drive out, we're gonna go somewhere today, right? But when we drive out, you see when I fill up the tank, the range is gonna be 400 miles, and I get another 400 miles when I fill up the tank. Now the point I was making is this, right? They're telling you electric, right? But they show you they got the biggest, most polluting cars. When you see the Queen ain't driving around in some green car, bro. Right? When you see these different Rothschilds and all of that, they got the biggest cars, man, with the biggest engine, just polluting. And that goes into a statement that's known as one rule for you, but another rule for us, letting you know that there's a division between the elites, right? Not these rich men, but the elites, man, and you peons, of which some of these little these little bosses, they kind of get to enjoy that. Like if you got, we use this word, you got one of them dons, right? Let's say you got one of them cats that runs a drug empire. That freedom that you have as an individual, right? Your little bosses are gonna be able to enjoy a little bit of that freedom. That's what you see with these politicians. They put draconian laws in place. You get Matt Hancock, right? Boris Johnson. This nigga's out there on a red list. I don't know if it was red list, but he's out there on holiday. No test, nothing. Yeah. One rule for you, but another rule for us. I want to show you that there's a global agenda right now, all right, to get you peons in line, man. And that's going to come with great sufferings in order for you to be coerced. Get that word, coerced, right? In order for you to be coerced, right, into getting that MOTV.
It says coerce. This is past tense, coerce. Coerce. Persuade an unwilling person to do something by using force or threats.
Right. So what's the current threats that they're using right now? Right. If you don't get this, or if you don't get the stab and jab, or whatever.
Sluggy, you said that, and I just thought, what was that big thing 2 or 3 years ago? Consent. You gotta consent. And that's one of the things they say, because it's like dealing with these boys nowadays is hella difficult, because if she said, "Oh no, but he coerced me into it," you're through.
Yeah. But hey, that's a good point. Because here it is. They're telling you can't coerce people, but we can coerce you to do anything. Yeah. Damn devil, man. That's why the scripture says this man's the devil. You got some precepts in the clip?
Continue on. It says, Jeremy 5:1, go to know you rich man, deep and how for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have reaped treasures together for the last days.
Right. Let's start to get this article right here. It says what? Oil prices are rising. Brent crude isn't far of yesterday's high. Right. What else does it say? Go on.
So like, if I can say, the price of oil has a direct correlation to the price
to everything. To everything. Yeah. To everything. Right. To everything. Prices, petrol prices and everything is the same. So if they go up, everything goes up. UK shoppers rack up 4.1 billion in buying out their data. Okay, so this is the point. This is a good point here. Plan B, C19 measures could cost 18 billion, right? 18 billion. And that's why these rich men now, they're seeing what? Inflation all over the place. So if inflation is out there and you're a businessman, that's not really a good thing, because you can't invest in particular things. But people ain't buying your product because they're worried about their money. Yeah. Let's go to the next article. What did we read? We read James the 5th chapter, didn't we? Okay, now we can go to Viticals shall be so good cheap. In Second Ezra, the 16th chapter on the 19th verse.
Second Ezra.
Not yet. So this is Bristol Live. It says food prices could get terrifying amid inflation surge warns. And I told you that's what I put in there. I put inflation warns in industry chief, right? Getting food onto shelves is still a problem. Right? Food prices in the UK could reach terrifying heights amid continuing supply shortage. They just made that thing up, man. They made that thing up. Okay.
Because everyone knew that it was happening. I mean, we knew about the ships not being able to dock back in March last year. Yeah. So how was it all of a sudden it's a surprise? But that's that showing, proving to you that it's all a big.
It's all a big game, man.
Yep.
It's all a big game, man. A lot of it's media control. They'll say there's a food shortage, and you go out there and they create a food shortage because the supply has gone up. People are hoarding food.
Yeah.
Food prices. They showed you that with petrol. Out there, these brothers were experiencing petrol shortages because they was in London, the land of the coerce. The land of the coerce, right? They was in London, the land of the coerce, and guess what? They was coerced into overbuying petrol. So the dudes was doing 30 miles and filling back up.
right? Whereas out here, in 2 days, things were back to normal. Food prices in the UK can reach terrifying heights amid a continuing supply shortage on the industry chief. Ian Wright, the executive of Food and Drink Federation, made the warnings on the ongoing supply chain disruptions in the UK with getting food onto shelves and continue to be an issue across the country. So what we see is this is not just out here within the UK. This is out there worldwide. They got their own.
So I was going to say, because the situation with the whole thing with the west coast of America, the ships not being able to dock, basically what that therefore means is those factories in China are going to be like, well, there's no point making these goods because we physically can't sell, well, we can't get them anywhere.
That was the reason why they had the so-called chip shortage.
Yeah.
And it's a so-called chip shortage. Come on, man, you own a business. And people, they say, come on, think about it, think.
Oh, you got
if demand goes up and you're a business owner, right, and you own a chip manufacturing plant, when the demand for your chip goes up, bro, you're gonna mobilize heaven and earth to get that demand met. This is the most money that you're ever gonna make.
Yeah. Then because you have certain companies that are just gonna hedge and buy a load more, but then you come out the next and be like, oh, I've got this new one, and then they bought the old stock. It's like, oh, we want the new stock because the new stock is better. So yeah, it is true. You watch that. What was that one, man? Invincible.
Yeah,
and you got that meme.
Think, on. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, to be honest. Right? So think about it, man. How can it be for 2 years? Chip shortage for 2 years. Why is that chip? Come on, bro. It's a chip for 2 years, bro. NHS has been suffering for 2 years. It's like, bro, I could fix this thing in a month.
Yeah.
That goes to show you it's all set up, man. And that's why you see a bunch of confusion. Because for the individual, all right, for the individual that's kind of stupid, well, not kind of stupid. Most people ain't got common sense. Common sense ain't that common. So for the individual that's stupid, you're gonna have a situation where this confusion really takes a toll on them, man. Let's get that win. Come on.
It says Isaiah 33:6. It says, knowledge and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure.
That's right.
So a wisdom and knowledge, when you've got wisdom, you've got the knowledge of what's going on, then you're not taken by the confusion. You've got it also in 2 Corinthians 2:11, where it speaks about we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua, we're able to see what this man's doing. We're able to see what's going on in this current kingdom. How this man is just royally trying to F everyone over.
Yeah.
Prince at the beginning of this all, I was looking at it, I was like, wait there. I don't know what it is now, but the average age of death of someone in the UK from this thing was over the life expectancy.
Mortality was about 83, but average death life expectancy was 82.
Yeah.
Confusion.
But then you look at what happens with when you put someone into poverty, right? When you put someone into poverty, their life expectancy, I mean, there are various ranges, but around 5 years is what I've come across. Now you can look at a different side, it's going to say something like around 5 years, right? Which got earlier on, like last year, right? Not last year, it's a couple of months back, they basically were like 2 million people got put into poverty. So that's 10 million years of life.
Yeah.
People that, it's going to sound horrible, but people that were near death's door anyway.
Yeah.
Which is, once again, I was reading something yesterday where people were like, never before, will you sacrifice your young for your old.
Yeah. Now, if you go back to that scripture that we had a second ago in which goes because 2 Ezra 16 chapter.
2 Ezra 16 from 19. Behold, famine and plague and tribulation, anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn away from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of it. Right.
So even though it's Esau that's bringing these things upon the face of the planet, the scripture says that the heart of the king that's within the book of Psalms. The heart of the king is within the heavenly Father's hands. Proverbs 21:1. No, it's all right. Well, it's Proverbs 21:1. Right? The heart of the king is within the heavenly Father's hands. And in fact, you can get it. Right? And he listed it wherever he went on.
Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will.
So the Most High is the one that's bringing about this suffering on the face of the planet because of the iniquity of these damn people. The whole pride, the rainbow prides, right? The rainbow pride claims, right? Right? Them individuals, right? What else have you got within the earth? The idolatry that happens out here within the earth, that idolatry. So what do you think the Most High, Yahweh, is going to do?
Hey, you just reminded me of something, because this man has people doing things that are actually witchcraft, like literally induced.
Yeah.
Do you remember the phase, maybe what, 2010, 11, 12, where basically all the women had like owls?
Yeah.
That was a big accessory. Every woman had an owl something, an owl necklace, an owl earring, owl this,
Well,
owl
when you
that.
go into when you study the occults, when you study the occults or these people or one of the agendas that they wanted, they said that they wanted the vast majority of the people to be first and third degree Masons by the time this NW gets set up. And you can see it, they sacrifice babies. For sacrifice for the career.
Yeah.
That's what oh shit, sorry, bro.
Because that's it. Like the devil come to you. Well, I can make you rich.
Yeah.
You just have to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
And that's effectively what they're doing.
It's not effective. That's what they're doing. You're sacrificing. You can't say that word. Can't say that word. You're gonna use a more interesting term. But these people, they get rid of their children for the purposes of what? Money. Wow. Right. So that goes back onto you see, people think that because you got an iPhone within your pocket, people think they're doing something new. Right? iPhone 13 within your pocket. Yeah. You know, doing something new. It's like, no, bro. You're doing exactly the same thing that you were doing within the ancient times. Okay?
Go on, Kans. Isaiah 1, Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. When there is no new thing under the sun, is there anything where it may be said, see, this is new? It hath already been the old time, which was before us.
Right. So there's no new thing underneath the earth, man. Nothing new underneath the earth. To the end that these women, they're doing exactly what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Within the ancient time. Yeah. Sacrificing men too, sacrificing their children for who? For tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the medicine symbol. The medicine symbol is a demonic symbol, man.
Yeah. So
right.
Lucius or something.
That's Lucius. That's it. If we get back into that book of executive measures, can I get one?
Yeah. Wisdom 12:5. Originally talking about something else, but can nowadays be used to what we just referenced. Wisdom 12:5 says, and also those merciless murderers of children, right, and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood. And that's what you're seeing out here, man. This merciless murdering of children, right, and then being just, because you bring this up, people go, how can you say that? You have a choice. This, that, and the other, all of that sort of stuff, right? And that's why, you had all these women protesting about that new law in Texas, which I was thinking about just how can you not know for 6 weeks? How can you not know for 6 weeks? You got a child, growing up all up in you, man. Right? You can find that out easy. You got them, the clear blue, man. Can tell you how many weeks along you are from pretty early on, man.
Yep.
Right? So, but these people have this, you don't want to, have those, things stuck up your nose, right, to see whether you got the C19 or not. They can do that regularly, and that's more invasive. But they don't want to be putting, because you can even get the cheap ones and they'll tell you pretty quickly, man. But why? It shows you how wicked.
It's very demonic, kingdom, man.
It's demonic as hell, man.
Yeah. But let's go back to the narrative of the book of Show.
It's the 2nd Ezra 16 and 20. But for all these things, they shall not turn away from their wickedness.
Right. So you go into a suffering, pains and sufferings are on the earth right now. But guess what? These individuals still ain't turning from their iniquity. They still ain't turning from their sins, man. Right? So the Most High is going to bring about even more death and destruction upon this place. Namely the articles that we read just a second ago, and you see what's popping up out here, man. You seen it within your own groceries, man, empty shelves, man. Right now, okay, it's not every day, it's not, sometimes you go in there, it's full. That don't mean that the word of the Heavenly Father is going to be null and void. The scripture says the Most High sendeth his word out there and shall not return unto him void, but it shall accomplish that which it pleases the Heavenly Father. So what does it please the Heavenly Father to do? That through faith, that the elect is going to be saved through faith. All right, and if you ain't got faith, you ain't going to be saved. So, but in order to have faith, you're going to have a situation that calls for what? For faith. Go on, bro. This is the whole victory. That's where the suffering come in, man. The suffering is going to be a good sifting process for the individuals that have got the faith and the individuals that don't have the faith. Doesn't the scripture say within the book of Revelation 2:25, that which have already hold fast until I come? And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. So, gonna have that faith, but in order to need to have that faith, there must needs be a situation that requires faith. And the Most High is out there. Go on now, unless you got something to say, bro.
Yeah, that's it. This is behold victuals, which
That's the point. It's the point.
Goes into food or provisions, that word. Right, shall be so good cheap upon earth.
So right, so you have the £5, and you can get like 20 nuggets, right? $5, you get like 20 nuggets. Them days are done, man. Right? Those days are finished. You ain't gonna have a situation that anymore. You might one person, I think Bob posted up an article, and he was going into the fact that pretty much on a steak right now is like down there at like $100, man.
Oh, I saw that.
Right? So that goes to show you
$100.
the ribeye steak. That goes to show you that food inflation is here. Okay? Rituals shall be so good cheap upon the face of the planet. They shall think themselves to be in good case, but hey, the good time is finished, man. It's over. We're getting to the end of this thing.
Yeah. And which goes to show you that's why the scriptures talk about patience, man. What shall you, it's warned you that have lost patience, what shall you do when the Lord shall visit you? That's a Sirach 2. Sirach 2, I believe, around about the 14th verse. Because you would have had people that have taken this juice.
Yeah, thinking things are gonna get back to normal.
Yeah, go and get back to normal. Oh, I want to be able to go to the restaurants. I want to be able to go abroad. I don't know if you have it there, but one of the things that have come out now is that Heathrow, which is the biggest, what I think, if not the world, the biggest airport here in the UK.
Yeah,
they're basically saying we're going to be increasing the tax on passengers, because basically that's why like landing in Heathrow is more expensive than landing in different places, because you got to pay Heathrow for using their their airport basically. So now those prices are going to be increasing as well, right? So then it's just going to get to the point where you took this juice to be able to travel, but then it's going to be too expensive for you to travel.
Yeah. That's coercion.
That's it.
That's coercion. And the worst thing is, this man is going to do the same thing for the MOTB, and they're going to be none the wiser. Right? That's the thing. They use the same tactics, man. They use the same tactics. All right. But now it's going to be what? It's going to be the MOTB. If we read that scripture,
the whole victory shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. And the other, so hey, once again, he will be like, oh yeah, take this MOTB so you can eat. But you still gonna perish of famine.
Yeah.
Says and the other that escaped.
What did you just read? Yeah. Not only you got food inflation, but they're talking about being able to to actually like produce this food, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Water shortages.
water shortages, you know, the Bible says in some places got too much water, some places ain't got enough water.
Yeah.
Go on, huh?
It says, and the other that escaped the hunger that the sword destroyed.
That's right. It's just gonna be those ICBM nuclear missiles.
Got one as well.
Yeah.
It says Second Ezra 6:22. Says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown.
Right. So you had a situation where you had all of this, you had a so-called life of abundance out here, right? Especially if you was out there in Babylon. It was a life of so-called abundance, but guess what? Abundance is just like, yeah, it's finished.
Yeah. Can go like that.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of your stuff, you know, a lot of your goods are imported and they can't get into the country. What you gonna do? All you San Francisco poshos that had your little coffee things and this, that, and the other, right? If those things can't come from South America, how are you gonna get it? Honey. How are you gonna get your honey for your tea if it can't enter America? Well, yeah, I know you get honey in the States, but a lot of honey is imported. A lot of everything is imported now. That's why, which for Revelation 18 says what it says about when America is destroyed, how those merchants are going to be waiting because they're like, look, man, hey, who's going to buy our goods anymore?
That's right. What we got? So you're reading the big one.
Yeah. The second Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouse shall suddenly be found empty. Right, which for us it ain't gonna be on the sudden. We were watching out for these things.
Scripture says, "Be ye circumspect."
That's it. You know, when we go shop, we don't see empty shelves, man. Yo, accurate. Look at this.
You see all the pictures, man.
Says,
I remember when the petrol stores came with the video every other hour.
Yeah. It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. All right, so yeah, and that's it. Friends shall fight against another like enemies, right? Because right now you saw people, you know, the tents are just over petrol, which I was did a video with the boat the other day, and we were saying how in London you don't really need a car. Well, unless you're a tradesperson, you know, you're going from this, there, or whatever, the transport network is such that you really don't need a car. It can be 3 in the morning, right? And what do you call it? You know, it may be long, but you'll be able to get some form of what do you call it, bus to close enough your house, right? But people were fighting each other. You had videos of people almost stabbing each other or whatever, you know, getting all up in each other's grills, honking all night long, trying to get some petrol lines for miles, right? Over something that isn't a necessity. Now, what happens when we start getting into things that are necessities?
Yeah. Hey, the scripture says within the book of 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, they shall not regard, no, it talks about how they're going to invade one another. They shall not regard their kings or princes.
And
So,
so, for what? For
want of bread, hunger.
Yeah, so that was the point on that one.
Let's go back to, I think that's the last precept. Second Thessalonians, the 5th chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, second 5:1.
No.
No, I'll put it up there.
Oh, you mean his first?
In fact, you might be putting some songs. Not written it down. Oh yeah, First Thessalonians, I already did. First Thessalonians, last precept, right? First Thessalonians 5:1, it says, "The times and seasons, brethren, ye have not need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them." And that's not limited to, right? The World War III that you're gonna see out here within this place. That's also these food situations and all of these inflation scenarios. You're seeing a narrative within the earth right now of suffering, man. Okay, So, yeah, that's it, man. So hopefully that was of edification. You know, go on. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, no,
Hopefully that was gonna be was of edification. And we're gonna say praise be or Hashem, Yahushua, or Hashem, or Kola Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles of great millstone, and honors to brothers that have been pushing this truth and sincerity. And we'll see you on the next one. Shalom.